All right, so we're going to continue on with section 9.3. There's a lot of information in here. So what we're going to do with this part of it today is evaluate trig functions of any angle. Again, evaluate is to solve and figure, get a number answer, figure out what it is. I'm going to fill in what these steps are. We're going to solve to do this. Notice it says do not use a calculator. So we're going to try that. I'm going to fill in some stuff here, and this should look a little familiar from what we did on that unit circle day. But step one is going to be sketch the given angle. The second thing we're going to do is find the reference angle. And that's what I always call theta prime. The angle is always theta. I call this theta prime. Third thing we're going to do is we're going to graph the point. And finally, we're going to find the function. And this will make more sense once we do all these different examples so you can kind of see the steps. All right, here, this is where I like to kind of talk about like what's positive, what's negative. So back when we did that unit circle lesson, the Desmos one, here, this first quadrant, your x value is positive and your y value is positive. Hopefully this looks a little familiar. In the second quadrant here, if you go back and then up, your x value is negative and your y value is positive. If we're looking at the third quadrant, we go left, so x is negative, and then we go down, y is negative. So they're both negative in this quadrant. And then finally, in our fourth quadrant, if I go to the right, my x value is positive. I'm like leaning as I say this. My x value is positive, and then I go down, my y value is negative. So just think about like where ordered pairs are for these signs. There's like a little trick to kind of remember what's positive where, and it's A, S, T, C. I always learned all students take calculus. I don't know, that's just how I learned that. Some people start here and it's ACTS, like AX. However you want to try to remember that. What this stands for, what this represents, is that the A means that everything, all your functions are positive. So all functions are positive. This S stands for sine, and so here, sine is positive. And that's because my y values are going up right here. That's why sine is positive. Down here, T stands for tangent. And if you remember, tangent means sine over cosine, or y over x. So negative divided by negative is positive. So my x and y values are negative, but tangent's positive. And then finally, C is cosine. Remember, cosine stands for the x value. My x value is positive here. So that's what the ASTC stands for there. You don't need that. I usually just try to remember what the signs are if I'm graphing, because here's my origin, that's 0, 0. Okay, right here. This is just the first quadrant of the unit circle. So let's try to like kind of fill this in, see what we remember with this. One thing I like to put up here is I like to remember that cosine is always my x value, sine is my y value. I'll write it as an ordered pair here. So cosine is x, sine is y. Tangent is sine over cosine, or y over x. So those are like the important aspects, and we can always like find the reciprocal for secant, cosecant, cotangent. But if you can remember these, that should help a lot. All right, so let's look at this first quadrant here. This here is 0 degrees, and I know up here this is 90 degrees. If I change these to radians, that's still just 0 radians. And then this is pi over 2 radians. Think about what those ordered pairs are. So my ordered pairs, it's the unit circle, so the radius is 1, so this goes over 1, up 0. I close that in, I lost that other parenthesis. My ordered pair up here, it goes over 0, up 1. So over 0, up 1. Those are those quadrantal angles. Then we've got these three here. So we've got a 30-degree angle, we've got a 45-degree angle, and we have a 60-degree angle. So 60 is bigger, it's really twice of 30. So 30, there's another 30 is 60, another 30 is 90. So when you think back to that unit circle, putting it all together, we're just going to focus on the first quadrant for now, because really all I care about is these ordered pairs, and then I'm going to focus on if they're positive or negative. Now I need to remember what these numbers are that go here. So if you remember that handy dandy, the hand trick, I don't know if I can put my hand on here. So my thumb is the 90 degree, my pinky would be the 0 degree, and let's say this is 30, 45, and 90. So if I put down my 30 degree finger here, representing this, I've got 3 fingers on the left and 1 finger left on the right. So this is radical 3 over 2, 1/2. If I put my hand back up here again, I drew on it. If I put down my 45 degree finger, I've got 2 fingers and then 2 fingers. This is radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. And then finally, again, here's my 90, here's my 0, 30, 45. If I put down my 60 degree finger, I've got 1 finger on the left, 3 on the right. So 1 over 2, radical 3 over 2. All right? Or you could just kind of think about your triangles. You go over a half, you go up 3/2. You go over a lot, so you go over radical 3 over 2, and you just go up a half. I feel like people usually remember the 45. All right, we got all of our info up there. Let's try a problem. So, oh wait, one more thing I want to put on here too, sorry. Let's put our radian measurements. So we've got pi over 6, that's 1/6. Then this would be 2/6. 2 over 6 is really 1/3. So I know that seems kind of backwards because the 6 is the smaller number and 3 is a bigger, or 6 is a bigger number, 3 is smaller, but 1/6 is smaller than 1/3. So the 6 goes with the 30, the 3 goes with the 60. And then this is pi over 4. All filled in. And a little crash course lesson that some of you probably didn't need, but a lot of you probably did. All right, let's start with sine of 150. So we've got to sketch that angle first. That's my first step here, is to sketch that angle. So if I'm looking at my XY here, I'm in degrees, so I can go ahead and think about degrees. This is 90 degrees. Over here, this is 180, so I don't need to go past that. 150 is before 180. So I know 150 is in this quadrant somewhere. So I know it goes like that. So when I say graph the angle, that's what I mean by that. Sketch the given angle. That's 150 degrees right there. Now, find the reference angle. This right here is the reference angle. Got my little tick, you can't see it there. So, yikes, I just dropped my pen. Sorry, guys. All right, so this is 150 degrees, and this is 180. To find the reference angle, I need to find out how far is it between 180 and 150. So I'm doing 180 minus 150, and that's going to give me 30. So I know you don't need to see that work, but so this reference angle right here is 30 degrees. Now that I have that, and you can even think about it like a triangle if you want to, I need to know what that ordered pair right there is. So that 150 is kind of in my way, but I don't have a lot of room to write. I'm going to get rid of this just so I have room to write on here. Okay, so I need to make an ordered pair. And when I say ordered pair, it's going to be one of these. This is the graph, the point. I need to figure out which one this is. Well, since that reference angle was 30, let's put it down here. Since the reference angle was equal to 30 degrees, that means I'm looking at this ordered pair. I know it's going to be radical 3 over 2, 1/2. So let's fill that in. I don't know if it's the right signs though, because this is all in the first quadrant. Everything's positive. So think about what this ordered pair would be. If I go left, that's going to have to be a negative radical 3 over 2. And then I go up, so that 1/2 is positive. So it's really negative radical 3 over 2, 1/2. Now let's look at what is asking us. It's asking us for sine of 150. The sine stands for the y value. We have our ordered pair. Let me rewrite that. That's pretty small. So that ordered pair there is negative radical 3 over 2, 1/2. The y value is that number right there. So what that tells me is the sine of 150 degrees is equal to 1/2. Let's try another one. That's the answer. 1/2. Evaluate. Give me a number answer. All right, the next one is secant. Secant of 135. All right, let's first graph the angle. Don't worry about the secant yet. Let's graph that angle. Let's think about where 135 degrees is. We're still in degrees. We don't have to worry about radians here yet. So I've got 90 degrees and I've got 180. So I don't need this bottom part. 135 is somewhere between 90 and 180. So let's just go ahead and make our angle there. That's my 135 degree angle right there. It's a degree symbol, which means that my reference angle, remember the reference angle always has to touch the x-axis and this. Don't ever think it touches the y-axis. So I didn't stress that over here. So this is my reference angle right there. If this is 135, how far is it from 135 to 180? You want to do 180 minus 135, that gives me 45. So that means that my reference angle right there is 45 degrees. That's what I need in order to find this ordered pair. If you want to make it into a triangle, you can. I feel like I usually do. So the ordered pair right there with a 45 degree angle, look up here, 45 degrees, radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. The x and the y are the same. So I've got radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. You've got to figure out which one's positive, which one's negative. So you're going to the left, so the x is negative, and then you go up, so the y stays positive. All right, we've got our point. That's our step 3 there. Now I need to find, the function of this. So secant, that's not really one that I like to work with. I like sine, cosine, tangent. They make more sense to me. So you just have to try to remember, which one is it, sine, cosine, or tangent? Remember what I've said before. I always like to just switch the C and the S. If I switch that C and S, do you see how it looks like it's trying to say it's cosine? So cosine is implying look at the x value. So let's take a look at the x value. The x value is negative radical 2 over 2. So cosine of 135 is equal to my x value. I'll circle that there. Right there. The x value is negative radical 2 over 2. But that's not what it was asking me for. It was asking me for the secant. So secant just means you take your fraction and you flip it. It's the reciprocal of it. So if the cosine is negative radical 2 over 2, that means that secant of 135 has to be, I'm going to flip that, negative 2 over radical 2. I can't have a radical at the bottom, so now I need to rationalize. So I've got negative 2 radical 2 over 2, and then these 2's cancel out. So my answer is just negative radical 2. So the secant of 135 is negative radical 2. I evaluated. I got a number answer. Let's try another one. This is saying the sine of 240. My head's going to be in the way. Let's move me. Whee. Okay, where's 240? If I look at a graph here, here's 90, here's 180. I got to keep going. It's bigger than that. So then I add another 90 and I get to 270. I'm not going to keep going because 240 is between these. So 240 is somewhere right there. So my angle goes all the way down to here. That's 240 degrees to there. So I start here. I don't want to fill it in. I guess I can do it lightly. There. I need the reference angle though. So the reference angle is just this one right here that touches the x-axis and the terminal side. So we've got to figure out what that is. How far is it between 240 and 180? If I do 240 minus 180, that's going to give me 60 degrees. So I need the ordered pair that goes with 60 degrees. Now, if you don't have this, we'll give you a blank one of these, but we're not going to give you this. So you always have your hand. You can think, oh, my 60 degree finger is that one, because 90 is up here, 0, 30, 45. So I've got 1 and then 3. So my ordered pair is 1/2 radical 3 over 2. I know I didn't put the signs yet. We've got to figure that out. It goes to the left, so that means the x is negative. It goes down, that means the y is negative. So we've got our ordered pair. Think about what sine means. Sine means the y value. Here's the y value right there. I don't need to flip it or anything because it's just sine. Sine is that. So my answer is the sine of 240 degrees is negative radical 3 over 2. And we're done. Now, it is easy to mess up the sign, so that's why I go through all these steps. I know it's not, it could be not a lot of work, but I try to do these the same way every time. Let's try some radians. All right, we'll start with the cosine of 7 pi over 4. So I'm going to make my graph so I can try to figure out where this all is. I wrote so small in some of those first ones. Sorry, guys. All right, we're going to label this as radians. Always put the pi right there. And then look and see what your fraction is. It's a 4, so I'm going to change that to 4 pi over 4. Okay, so it's going to go past that, so I don't really even care what's up there. So if I make a full circle all the way to here, that's 2 pi. If I want to change that to over 4, I'd have to make this 8 pi over 4. All right, so what's in between these? If they're even numbers, you can really easily figure out what's in between. So that would be 6 pi over 4. It helps to label these so I know where that 7/4 is. The 7/4 is going to be between the 6/4 and 8/4, right there. Keep in mind, here's 7/4. It's that whole big angle like that. My reference angle has to touch the closest x-axis, this one right here, and this terminal side. So there's my reference angle. With this one, how far is it from 8 pi over 4 to 7 pi over 4? That reference angle is going to be pi over 4. In fact, it's always going to be like that. If it's over 4, this reference angle is pi over 4. This one's pi over 6. It's always going to be like that. Sometimes these are easier. But I need this ordered pair right here. So you want to make it into a triangle so you see. This ordered pair, since it's fourths, if you want to think about that, fourths is really 45. Pi over 4, 45. So that's the one where they're the same. So that's radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. You can always come back up and look at this and practice making this. Or look at your hand. The 45 is that one. 2 and 2, they're the same. All right, now check your signs. It starts at 0, 0. It goes to the right, so x is positive. But then it goes down, so y is negative. Cosine. Cosine means x value. The x value is radical 2 over 2. So we're done. That's the answer. The cosine of 7 pi over 4 is equal to radical 2 over 2. So this is what you would type into Buzz, square root of 2 over 2. Let's try another one. Tangent of negative 3 pi over 4. All right, if you don't like negatives, you can always find the coterminal angle and make it positive. So you could add a whole circle. A whole circle is 2 pi. So some people like to do that. If you're okay with negative angles, it's worth practicing. I'll practice one of those with you. It just means we're going to go, instead of going counterclockwise, we're going to go clockwise. We're going to go, it looks like we're going down first. So let's think about, this is still, it's negative pi this time. So I need it to be a 4. So this time it's really negative 4 pi over 4. So it's not going to make it that far. So if that's negative 4 over 4, I don't have to keep going. Here, this would be negative 2 pi over 4. That's a half. So it's going to be between these two. So it's going to end up right there. So my reference angle is right here. It has to touch the x-axis and the terminal side. So that's just pi over 4. Same ordered pair that we had last time. So this ordered pair, if you want to make it into a triangle, there it is. This ordered pair is radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. My signs are not correct. X goes to the left, so the x is negative. Y goes down, so the y is negative. They're both negative in this third quadrant. Okay, we haven't done a tangent yet. So tangent means sine over cosine. That means y over x. So I need both of my values this time. So I need my x and my y value. So my y value is negative radical 2 over 2 divided by my x value is also negative radical 2 over 2. So that's just going to give me 1. So tangent of negative 3 pi over 4 is equal to 1. If you did want to add 2 pi to this and make it positive, because I know I said that, but then I never showed it. If I want to add 2 pi, that's really 8/4, because 8 over 4 is 2. Negative 3 plus 8 is 5 pi over 4. So if you're going this direction, there's 4 over 4, you're going to end up in the same spot. So I just wanted to point that out so you didn't think I was doing or saying anything different. All right, coterminal angle there. Okay, let's take a look at a cosecant. Now I've got 11 pi over 6. So I always check to make sure the top isn't like more, it's not like more than a full circle. So is this more than twice the bottom? No, because a full circle would be 12 over 6. So it's not quite a full circle. All right, but it is a bigger angle. Again, put your pi right there and then change it to whatever fraction you need. So it's a 6, so I'm going to do 6 over 6. Definitely goes past that. So if I go a full circle, that's 2 pi, but I need to change that to be over 6, so that's 12 over 6. All right, so it's definitely closer to this than this. If you want to put this middle one just to see what it is, you'll think what's in the middle of 6 and 12? 6. So we've got 9 pi over 12. I don't know what I was writing there, sorry. All right, so 11 is definitely going to be over here. So 11 pi over 6. I kind of made it in the middle. Don't worry about exactly where it is. So I need to know what this ordered pair is. Actually, I need the reference first. So here, how far is it from 11 pi over 6 to 12 pi over 6? The reference angle has to touch the x-axis in this, and it's just going to be pi over 6. All right, what's a lot going on here? Let me get rid of this. All right, looks a little neater. I need to know what this ordered pair is right there. So if this is a 6, that means it's really a 30-degree angle. So if it's an over 6, it's going to be a 30. If it's an over 3, it's going to be a 60. So if I get my hand out here, this is 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. If I put down my 30 finger, I've got 3 fingers on the left, 1 on the right. So this is radical 3 over 2, 1/2. Right there, 30 degrees, pi over 6 is radical 3 over 2, 1/2. Okay, check your signs. X is positive, Y is negative. Now I just need to figure out what cosecant means. If I flip the C and the C, it's still C and C, so it's not the cosine one. So that means this is going to have to be the sine reciprocal. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do sine first. So sine stands for the Y value. So I definitely want to look at the Y value. Here's my Y value. Now it's not actually the answer because I wasn't asked for sine, I was asked for cosecant. So if sine is negative 1/2, if sine of the angle is 1/2, then to find cosecant of 11 pi over 6, I've got to flip that fraction. If I flip negative 1 over 2, I've got negative 2 over 1, and I'm just left with negative 2. This is a lot of work. Could you imagine done last time and this all at once? Holy moly. All right, we've got a couple more here. So let's take a look at these. Almost done. Sine of 270. So maybe now you're kind of starting to think, okay, well, sine is y. I'm going to have to mess with the y value. So if you want to write it right away, you can. I'm going to graph this angle first. So 270. Remember, we graph the angle, we look for the reference angle. Okay, so it's kind of big. I've got 90 here. I've got 180 here. If I add another 90, ooh, look what that puts me at. That puts me at 270. That's what I'm looking for. This time it's actually on the y-axis. Sometimes that happens. So that's that quadrantal angle. What is this ordered pair? Keep in mind we're dealing with ones here. The radius of our circle is always 1. So it goes over 0, down 1. 0, -1. You don't need a reference angle when it's on an x or y axis. So maybe make a note. There is no reference angle. I can't spell and talk at the same time. I totally spelled that wrong. Stick an E in there, sorry. No reference angle. We don't have to find that because we have the actual ordered pair already. We usually use a reference angle to find the ordered pair. Sine is the y value. There's the y value. We're done. That's all you had to do. So the sine of 270 degrees is -1. If I would have asked for the cosine, it would have been 0. If I would have asked for the tangent, think about that for a minute, tangent would be y over x, 1 over 0 would be undefined. So you could get an undefined answer. All right, one more. You guys are doing good. So we've got cotangent of 5 pi over 2. All right, so remember I said when you have like a bigger fraction, check that top. Is 5 more than twice 2? Yes. I mean, think about what's a full circle 2 pi that's really over 2. So if I take 2 pi and I want to change it to something over 2, that's really 4 pi over 2. So isn't that bigger than a full circle? If I'm graphing this, here's what I would do. I would start here. I would go around a full circle. Now I'm at 4 pi over 2. I'd have to keep going. So let's see, this is my pi. That's really 2 over 2. If that's over 2, then this is, what, pi over 2? Because this is really 1/2, 2/2. Down here is 3/2. This is my 4 pi over 2. So I already want my full 4 pi over 2. So keep going. I've got to go a little bit more. So it's going to put me right here. So this is really 5 pi over 2 also. The other thing you could have done is you could have taken that 5 pi over 2 and I could have subtracted a whole circle, like when we were doing our coterminal angles, and then that just tells you pi over 2. So I think that's easier. So you don't have to do all these swirls, but here's where we end up. That's all I care about is where we end up. We're on the y-axis again. So what's that ordered pair this time? This time it goes over 0 and it goes up 1. So there's my ordered pair. What does cotangent mean? Let me move my face. What does cotangent mean? Well, I like to work with tangent better. So tangent is sine over cosine. Tangent is y over x. If that's the case, then that means that cotangent has to be x over y. I have to flip that fraction. So if cotangent is x over y, I need to take my x value divided by my y value. So my x value is 0, my y value is 1. 0 divided by anything is just 0. So the cotangent of 5 pi over 2 is 0. All that work for 0. All right, I know this was a lot. You guys did a good job. Please reach out if you have any questions, and have a good day. Bye, guys.